so often people ask me like, am I afraid of anything? And like they see me on Instagram and they are like, oh, she's not afraid of anything and it's so easy for her. And then I'm like, well, this is the time I'm freaking scared. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone.
Here, now?
Yeah, here and now. Because this podcast, like, it's something I always wanted to create in English, spread out, go wider. But I always had these beliefs in myself, in my language, in whatever, And so this is my public confession to everybody who is listening that I'm scared as well before every project, every event, every whatever I do, even now stepping out of my comfort zone, going to like Thailand or whatever for such a long time. It's also scary, right? You never know what's going to happen. And so, yeah, that's why we are here today with Kat. Thank you so much for coming. We are gonna talk lots and lots about stepping out of the comfort zone, trusting ourselves, doing wild things that no one understands, and just following your path. And like, you are such an inspiration to me in a way that, like, let's not gonna lie, like, life goes on, we grow older, right? And then at some point we all realize that fuck, like, this is not the life I want. And so many people stop there because they are like afraid, like their excuse is their age or whatever else, right? Family, kids, husband who doesn't understand or whatever. I don't really know much about your story, like how you even started in this spiritual whatever you are doing. What was like the very first beginning? Because when I started following you, you were in Bali, living in Bali, and I didn't even know for how long you were there or why you were there. So yeah, maybe you can start from the beginning and tell a little pre-story, how you even, like, what made you curious about something else?
The first glimpse that I had when you asked this question was me around 5 to 7 years old, standing in front of the mirror and looking into my eyes and thinking, but who am I? Like, why do I look like this? Who invented this table and why did I name it table and not something else? And now shivers are running all over me. Like, why I look like this? Why I don't have blonde hair or, brown eyes or something? But those thoughts were coming and just going, coming and going. And then I forgot about it because school, parents, society, everything, books, we need to do this and that, and you just forget. And the first in my conscious age was, I think after my daughter was born 4.5 years ago, that I felt like I lost myself. But who am I? Who did I lose? Mm-hmm. And how do I find it? Do I find it or do I create it? Yeah. Or what is happening now? So it went through the bumpy road, and somehow I felt to be led. It was not always, when people hear, oh yes, I had just a feeling and then something was leading me, it sounds so easy. Yeah. It's not easy because you feel like it's not correct way. Why do I need to do that? I have a job. Should I leave the job? But I already knew I'm not returning to the job.
What were you doing before?
I actually always did something that I like. I really rarely stayed in the jobs that I don't enjoy because I felt my energy is draining without even knowing what is energy draining. Before I was working in a corporate company. I was event manager, I was employee experience team manager, not a manager, but we were managing events, managing a mood in the teams in a big corporation. I was doing different soft skills facilitation, and I really enjoyed all those things. But then I started to feel that it's something I enjoy doing, but I don't feel I give it into the depth where people take it as deep as they could take. And then I started to feel a little bit of missing piece, but I didn't know what it is. I just felt like I like it, but I don't want to be here anymore for some reason. Yeah. And the first time when I wanted to go to Bali, it was then when I was 33. So it was many years ago, six years ago. And then I was like, oh, I would like to go to Bali. I didn't have a kid. I had a partner, but we were like just, dating. So.
But were you living in Latvia at that time?
I was living in Slovakia then.
Okay.
I don't live in Latvia since 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left 2008. And then my brain limited me. It said, but you are not a nomad. You don't even have a Apple, and all these things. What are you going to do in Bali? Do you even have money for that? And all that bullshit that our brain tells. And I was like, oh, it's not for me. Bali is not for me. And I just left the idea. But then this year, actually last year, a bit more than a year ago, when I saw someone in Bali, my mentor actually, that he lives there in Bali with kids, then he has a nice life, not in terms of like a nice nomadic or whatever. He just lives a normal lifestyle. He has a house, kids, he does his job online, he communicates, he brings value, and he earns money like this. And I was like, I also want to do it like this. He can, I can. So, and the seed was seeded in my head. When I said this idea to my husband, he said, no, I'm not going anywhere. But in me, I knew I'm going there with or without him. We went all together at the end. But I just had this is the time. This is the right time for me now to go there, because I knew it's calling me for some reason. I didn't know in that March night when I dreamt about Bali, why do I want to go there? But it unfolded later.
What changed after Bali? What was the reason you needed to be there?
I needed to stop living so much in the past, remembering or trying to remember who I am, and kind of regret of some things that I don't do anymore. I used to do pole dance fitness, I was a trainer, I had my team, I had like this very active lifestyle, and I kind of missed it. And I was trying to go back there, but I felt like I don't want it anymore. Like I'm forcing myself to go to studio, to show the tricks to the girl. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why am I pushing myself? It's like kind of finding myself back, but why you need to find something? You just need to remember who you are. And we hear this phrase a lot. I didn't know, what does it mean? Yeah. Remember who you are. How the fuck do I remember if I never knew who I am, kind of. And now it's more clear for me what this phrase means. But in Bali, it was, I put myself an intention to go there, to just follow whatever comes to me and accept it without chasing, doing all the things that you see on internet people are doing in Bali. I knew I'm going to Ubud. I knew my daughter will have a kindergarten, and I knew we are going to have a villa with a swimming pool, and I will have a working space there. That's it. And I knew I want to go to some shamans to see what they tell me. Just, this curiosity, because we always want somebody to tell me something that I kind of know, but I need to hear it from them.
I need that like approval from somebody else, right, outside of us, to say that, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, because you are wearing a white cloak and you have a lot of wisdom in you. Maybe if you tell me this, then I will really do this. Yeah. And that shaman, when I went to him, he was just 6 minutes conversation. We traveled 2 hours with a bike to him, waited for him another 2 hours for him to receive us. And then in 6 minutes, he tells me, very well, Katya, you have a very good energy. You need to work with people. And something else. And I'm like,
is that it?
What else? You can ask one question. I don't remember what question I asked, I just remember the answer. He said, you have to let go of the past and keep your energy for you, because you give a lot of energy to people. That's why you cannot function properly, because you give it all to them. You need to learn to find it balance, and you need to let go of the past because it drains your energy. And I was like, wow, nicely said, but how do I do that? Because, how do I let go of the past? Because it's memories and all that. And he gave me 2 mantras to chant. He told me what to buy, what crystal to buy for me. It was a moonlight. And then he said, you can go. And I was like innerly a bit disappointed, like, that's it. But I knew that he actually told me everything that I had to know back then. I was chanting those mantras day and night, morning and night, for 2 months. He said for 21 days, but I was chanting them. My daughter already knew, and she was sitting with me, Om Gam Ganapataye. Like, it was very cool, but at certain point I felt like, I feel like I don't need to do it anymore. Really, I felt like I don't need to do it anymore. And suddenly, after a certain time, I was like, but I really don't live in the past so much anymore. I just came to this realization. Oftentimes we want to get results like this. Okay, I went to shaman, give me the recipe, I do it, and then change. People come to me to a therapy, okay, we do the session, tomorrow I'm the new person. There is a work we need to do. First we need to do the action, and then the work continues, and only after some time things unfold. And then you might be even forgotten that what you've done, what exactly happened, but things unfold, especially energetically. It takes time, and I am a very impatient person.
Same. I feel like life is testing. But I read this book yesterday, and it said basically the topic was the same. This guy who is like really, he has achieved a lot, he's wealthy, public speaker, blah, blah, blah. And after one of his speeches, this guy comes over and says, give me three tips how I can become such a good speaker like you. And he's like writing in his book, like in that moment my head started spinning and I wanted to like shake him and shout at him like, how do you expect from me to give you this short answer for all these years that I have invested in myself to become a person like this, right? And he gave some short answer to this guy, but that is the message. Like all of us wants to receive all of these results like yesterday already, right? But it takes time, and that's what people don't really realize, that you need to put effort and work for those times when you don't see the results. And it's so hard actually when you don't see the money coming in, you don't see your clients coming in, you don't see whatever else that you need, but somehow you just need to keep going and remind yourself that it's for the future, right? There was this another story I heard recently of this woman. She wrote a post, blog post on Instagram, 15 tips of something, how to live your life better or something like that. She had like one share, like nobody cared. 3 years later, somebody shared that post, the same post, 3 years later, and it went viral. New York Times asked her to write a book based on that post, and she's like #1, like like how do you say, like New York Times like recommended book or whatever. And you see that is like the result of hard work. You know, you don't know when things kind of pop up and people don't really want to invest because we only see results. Like they look at you and they see results. They see you already successful, because maybe that's our fault, because we as social people, we don't really show the hard part, really.
I think nowadays more and more people start to show it, and it's really appreciated.
Yeah. But still not enough. Still not enough, because we see all of those successful people with this great life and all of the success. And then we look at ourselves and we are like, shit, like, what am I not doing right? But then somebody is even looking to us and thinking like, oh, how can I even be like her?
Like I was on an event recently, and I had to do the program there, like energetic practice. And somebody came to me and asked, so what exactly are you going to do for us today here? And I said, honestly, like, I don't know yet. I don't know like what exactly practice I will do, because I will connect and I will feel, wow, it's so cool, it's so easy for you, you just connect. And I was thinking, holy shit, I was learning and connecting with myself for a few years to come to this stage when I can look my truth into my truth and be open, and to be honestly also brave to trust myself, that I can trust myself, because that was not always like this. I didn't believe I can do this. I didn't believe I even deserve to do this. I'm allowed to do this. Like, who is allowing me? Just me was not allowing me. And now, of course, that person didn't intend to offend or anything. It's just how people see, just what you said. They see, oh, so cool, she doesn't even need to prepare. My preparation was already for some good 3-4 years to be here and channel the freaking energy practice for the energy field. I couldn't do it 1 year ago. If 1 year ago somebody would ask me, I would have a script on the paper, because I would be afraid not to forget some important word to say, but it would be different practice because it would come from the script. So, yeah.
And how did you even realize that you want to do channeling? Was it something that came to you, or I don't know?
Like you mean channel opened and then I just... there are people who I know who said, it just one day I just knew I can do it. It's actually everybody can do it.
Yeah.
We just forget how to do it. For me personally, it was in Bali. I met a girl who is a channeler. And even if I heard before channelings, I never paid attention to it, because for me it looked like you have to be born with this. So,
or you need to be some special human being to have this ability.
Like, I'm not that, so why am I even putting my energy there? Channelers are somewhere there. I'm here. That's it. And then I meet this girl. We go together to do sacred waterfalls, and she tells me all the stories. And yes, for her, channeling opened as a natural gift. Then I thought, okay, I'm just with a special person here on the bike behind me. We are just, and I'm blessed to hear all her stories, how she just channels all her courses, channels everything. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I also want to do it like this. And long story short, I wanted to go to her session, and it never happened. For some reason, there was some things that we never made it to work with her in Bali. And then I met another girl who was my therapist, and she does therapies through the channeling, whom showed me the other way that you actually can learn it. And she opened up the course that you can learn to channel. And I was like, my heart was like, yes, I have to be in that course. And my brain found another course, because it was explained that I could understand, some kind of also an energetic course, but it was for my brain easier to understand and believe that I can do it, because you kind of learn the scheme and go by the scheme. And it's so funny, because then I said, universe, and they started at the same time. And I said, universe, please show me a sign that I have to have this course. But I didn't say which course. I said this course, which is this another course. It was Bali, it was night, and I asked the universe, show me white dog that is not homeless, which is kind of mission impossible, because there are a lot of dogs and they're always wandering on the streets. 5 minutes later, I see a woman on a motorbike with a white dog behind her. She stops on the traffic light for some minutes in front of me, and I'm like, okay, I got your message. But you see, and I subscribed for that course. I paid the first payment. In the first lesson, I understood this course is not for me. It's a great course, but it's not for me. And only then I started to think, I was asking from my heart, and my heart was thinking about the channeling course, and my brain was asking for this course. So when we ask universe and you think that it gives you wrong directions, maybe you ask from the wrong direction here.
Yeah.
I immediately wrote my teacher. I said, I want to be in your course. And when I just subscribed, I was like, oh my God, I feel I'm home. Yeah. That was the feeling, I'm home. I don't know how. I don't know what I'm going to learn here, but I feel I'm in the right place. So this is how it came to me, through the people. And even if I was resisting to listen to my inner voice, it still came to me, because I believe it was my missing puzzle piece for this part of my life. I'm not saying it will be forever like this from now on, but for this moment, it just had to be there.
Okay, then maybe you can explain more what channeling really is for those who maybe hear this word for the first time, or as you said, have heard it that channelers are someone with closed eyes, like channeling somebody else through them. What is channeling and what are the differences? Because there are 2 types or even more types, I don't know, of channeling.
So channeling, in a big perspective, it's a connection with the source, with the highest self, with the universe, you call it. Here, for example, in this place, it would be a connection with the energetic field. I like to compare it. At this stage of my life, I like to compare it. It's like you invited me for a podcast, like you invited me to your space for a conversation. In channeling, I can channel for myself, I can channel for a person, which I do more now. It's like that person invites me to their space, opens the door, which means they will show me where they live, where they go to sleep, and so on. So they need to be inviting me. I cannot just
walk in.
It's the same. Like if I would walk into someone's energy field, like it's not nice thing to do. So we don't do it because there's also consequences on the energy world. So, but I also can channel. For example, I was experimenting recently. I said, okay, I want to channel. I want to see what is the thing that the girls in my energy club need to take from this club. And then an information, I connect to my energy club and the girls who are there, their energy. And then I see what they would need the most from that, or how do I see them there. I think it's not really clear what I'm explaining.
No, I understood it this way, because I sometimes do the same when I hold space for group sessions in my breath work. I sit down with myself and I just go into meditation, which means like you are sitting in quiet and just listening to yourself, and you are asking yourself this question, what the group would need in this space today, and you're just sitting there waiting for an answer, waiting, however long it takes. And normally some thought or some feeling or something pops up, even as a word, love or forgiveness or whatever, and then you have some sort of direction. Even you can use this one word in a session, and probably there will be that one person who came to you to hear this word love, and it triggered in them some sort of feeling to be able to go through the emotion or whatever. So that is kind of what I feel is the same with you. You just sit with yourself basically, and you allow the information to come in.
Yeah, but you have to be in this point zero. Yeah. You have to turn off this part machine that is always finding different things.
You cannot like think with your brain. You cannot like come up with stuff in your brain, and I guess for some people maybe that's the hard part, because you need to understand when really your mind is blank.
And for me, for many years, for actually all my life, this was the hardest part, because, and now I smile a little when a person comes to me and says, my brain is very loud. So I'm really, my brain, it's the loudest from all. I'm like, I know. I've been there, you know. And why channeling came to me just right at this moment, because I was being prepared, or I was preparing myself to receive it through the first learning hypnotherapy. Then I went to energy therapy, which was preparing me to connect with my body, to listen to my heart. And it's all the practice. It's not like, oh, today I learned suddenly how to turn off my head. No, no, because I needed to learn to connect with my body, with my heart, to sit in the silence and to be comfortable in the silence. How many people today, when I sit in front of 30 women, and I just stay quiet for longer than 5 seconds, and I observe people, and they're like,
discomfortable.
Like, what? Did she forget the script or what? You know, we are so uncomfortable in the silence. And it's so because I was that woman before. I was like, I had always a feeling that I cannot be quiet for longer than 5 seconds, because then people will be like,
because
why?
The silence is too loud.
Exactly.
It's way too loud. We start to hearing ourselves. We start to hear wherever is going on there, all the emotions. And yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes even for me, you know, we live this busy life and doing things, and then suddenly you sit in front of the wheel in your car, there's no music, nothing, just you and the road, and suddenly you start feeling all of this emotion coming up, and you're like, whoa, where did this come from? And you've been just ignoring yourself for how many days, you know, if you don't do your practices in the morning, and yeah, you kind of lose sense of self. You start living, and that is the moment, I think, for me, when you start living other people's lives, because it's so easy. You go on Instagram, you see, oh, people are buying from these shops, they are doing these things, they are going to these events, I must do the same. But do you really?
Do you really need it?
Yeah.
If you want it? But back to channeling, it's this connection with the highest self. What is highest self? It's this pure you. It's not your body. It's not your skin color. It's not your name. It's not what you do. It's the essence of who you are. And that essence you can hear in the silence, in that spot between two thoughts. When one thought flies away, another thought is still not there. You don't know what the next thought will be. That spot between those two spots, to jump into it and to try to keep it as long as possible. What do I feel? My God, I actually feel that my chest is heavy. Why my chest is heavy? Because we try just to hide everything all the time, or put the masks, and now here I have to be channeler, yeah, like here I have to be channel, there I have to be mother, there I have to be... It's so much easier just to be you everywhere.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, I'm just a person. When many times people try to ask you to introduce yourself, you're like, oh my God, what do I say now? What should I tell them to sound like, yeah, like I belong there? And I have to admit, for a minute, I had this question in my head. Oh my God, if she asks me to introduce myself, what will I say? And I was like, just lose it. Just lose it. Like, whatever, like you say, people will feel your energy and people will feel you. Yes, they will hear the words, blah, 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 but they will remember you because they felt either good or they didn't feel so good with you. And that's what they remember. There's even studies made. How people learn, how people perceive you, they don't remember most of the times your words in 2 days, even in next day.
Even
if you
your
ask
name.
them, even your name. If you ask them what she was talking about, I don't know. You remember.
But she felt good, yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
you remember, I loved it or I hated it.
Yeah.
It was not for me. That's what people remember.
So what are the differences between the channelings?
From what I know and what I study, first of all, channeling is also it's simply said, it's intuition. It's like this clear seeing, gaishredzība, clear knowing, clear hearing, and just all those things that many thousands years ago we think witches were doing. Yeah, like they knew somehow. Oh my God, how do you know? But all those senses we as people had. They were just buried by many other things, and it's a natural development of our world, how it happened. So we forgot all of those things. And some people are meant to remember these skills, let's call them skills, in this lifetime, and some people, their souls came here for different reasons, and they will never come even to watch this podcast, for example.
Yeah.
And the channeling, how I channel, I don't channel from specific source. You might have seen on Instagram some videos when people sit with closed eyes and they channel and they even change the voice and they speak different voice. Those people, they either were already born with this, again, skill, because in previous lives, the source whom they channel, they were that. Is it understandable? For example,
not
there
always,
is a...
I think, but you
not
can,
always.
Yeah.
This is a one way how it can be. There is one guy, Daryl Anka, and he channels Bashar. This is his story. He closes his eyes, he connects to Bashar, he named himself a Bashar. It's a different civilization. And in previous one of the lives, Daryl Anka, they were one, something like that. That's just a detail.
He has changed a lot in my life. He's channeling Bashar, I would say.
Oh, so many years, like very, very many years. Yeah. Another way is to connect with different civilizations. You can connect to whom you also different civilization or different kind of sources. The channeling I'm learning is to connect with the universe, with a common field. It's nothing specific, but to get.
It's an informational field, I would say.
Yes, exactly. It's like a internal Google. You just type what you want to know and see, and it might sound scary. It doesn't mean that I look at operator guys and now I see all the stories about them. Yeah, like I see through you. No, because it's a property. It's energetic field. I cannot just break in someone's energetic field.
Well, you can, as you said, but there is a consequence.
You can, but also, even clients come to me and they are like, yes, I want to work on that. I want to know why, And then I channel and then I connect with her or his field, and then I see nothing. It's like they protect themselves, consciously or subconsciously, most of the time subconsciously. It's like, why are you not letting me? Why are you resisting? And then I feel fear. Say, what are you afraid of? I didn't even know I'm afraid, but I'm afraid of this and that. And then we go through this way. So yes, we can kind of, from common energetic field, I can see, I could have channeled, why didn't I do that? Before this meeting, me and you, like our energy, how it would be. But it doesn't mean I enter into your energetic field. I just see you next to me next to you. How is our interaction? For example, when I created a course where I teach girls energy and all these things, I channel every single one of them who enters my course to see if this girl really will take advantage of this course, or is it her ego that needs this course for some other reasons? Yeah. What will be her fears? And there is like, this is such a filter, like, I can see that this girl actually, she doesn't need this course right now in her life. She kind of tries to enter, but I don't see her there in that course. I don't tell her yet, but I see that and I know that she will not be. And then she calls me, Kat, actually, I was thinking, I was like, thanks God you listen to yourself. Because I would not take her in that course, because I know that if she comes into it because of her ego, it would impact my work in that course negatively. So I don't want to, and this is amazing tool because you can scan people in terms of, do they belong in your energy field right now or not? Maybe it sounds harsh, but it's really nice scan how to do that. But doesn't mean I entered in her property and looked through something. Yeah. No, she just, her energy just showed me this image. And when I first time did, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Because I channeled my course and I saw the first course I channeled, I saw there is 4 people and she enters like a 5th person. I'm like, I'm happy, but I'm like, you're not supposed to be here. And then I was like, maybe my channeling was wrong. Maybe I didn't channel so right. I was like, no, I channeled right. She should not be here. And then after, it was true. Actually, maybe it was test also for me. Do I trust that I channeled correctly or not? But all these things.
I think you shared a story like this on Instagram or something similar, that you were doubting your skills. And I was listening to it and I was like, that's so true, because it was the same for me when I learned this method of like connecting with my clients before they come. And I was like, you see these weird things, like normally like those souls or the person who are you gonna work with, they most of the time they never come in the look they are in real life. They come either as an animal or maybe as a like just a light, or maybe as even looking in different gender from different life. And then at the beginning I was like, I'm just making all of this up. Like, what is this? But then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna write it down. And I wrote it down and the person comes and I just out of curiosity ask them like questions around that. And I'm like I have goosebumps on, and always these people are somehow like related to whatever I saw, and I was like, oh my god, like what is this even, like like, and still even up to this day, even though I know it works, I need to keep reminding myself that it is true, because my brain is like, oh, you're just making this up, like what are you doing, you're wasting your time on this, like, yeah, it's so funny. And
now I take it as a test.
Yeah.
If this happens, I know something is testing me if I'm really serious about what I'm doing, because I know it works. I know it worked before.
It's almost like you have two beings in you. One who is like trusting whatever is happening, who knows everything and who is on the path, and the other one who is like constantly like judging you, like stopping you.
I'm a Gemini, so for me it's like my life story. I'm used to that.
Making up like different like excuses and like just like sabotaging yourself, like inner sabotager.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? Once I was talking to my teacher, and I was just like experimenting and practicing channeling, sitting in the park, just closing my eyes and like, okay, I wanted to connect to some civilizations, you know, just to practice to see if somebody comes or not. And I remember a wolf came in front of me, and behind him was a man, very with the wisdom in his eyes, and I remember how he looks till today, but I didn't know like why did you come and call my teacher? She's like, why didn't you ask them their name? I was like, I could do that? She's like, you can do whatever you want. You can ask them their name. I was like, okay, so I can ask them. How you receive it, it's a different thing. As you said, sometimes you see them as a picture. Sometimes you just know. For me, it's very often I just know it's this. With some people, I see so beautiful images. It's like a fairy tale. It depends also probably on another person, or on as my teacher says, on your development, how you grow in channeling. Because she already, after channeling so many years, she doesn't see these bright, beautiful pictures. She channels. She walks and channels. She walks on the streets, and it just, what does it mean? Walks and channels. She walks and talks from the flow. You catch the flow. You don't talk from here, you just pass information, and sometimes that information might sound as non-logical, like words that are not really connecting together, but for another person they're like, I know what you're talking about. It makes absolute sense for me. This is also what is channeling. You don't have just to say it. For me now, at this stage of my beginning of channeling, yes, I have to kind of prepare myself, oftentimes with a cacao, because I really like to connect with my heart this way, because it's my new favorite tool, one of my new favorite tools. And then I sit down there and I do it purposely. But it doesn't mean I cannot do it in the park on the chair, or in event after practice. When a girl asks me something, I look into her eyes and I'm just like unconsciously or consciously connecting, and I tell her some words that for me doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I'm telling her, and she's like starting to cry and says, oh my God, how did you know? Like, why did you? And you asked the question and I answered.
Yeah. But you know, like, listening to you, I feel like you kind of need to be like careful actually what you say, because
you know what you cannot say. They always tell you. We have guides, we have our angels. Yeah. And if there is information, for example, you see that the girl will be pregnant. And I'm like, can I tell her? Should she know now? Yes or no? And you feel, because if you are connected with your body, first of all, if you would not be, you would not be able to see these things. And then you just know, yes, she's ready for that. She can totally know it. It will actually help her to prepare for it, or not yet, because she's dealing with something else now. You know certain things. It's not with everything, but for example, with such a topics, I double check. Is it really like this? Should I say? I even ask person like, give me a minute. I need to see.
I need to have a conversation with my
have a conversation with myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because like one of my teachers also, she is a channeler, but for her it came like suddenly. She was practicing hypnosis as well, and then in one hypnosis she had this weird interaction, and as she explained, first she saw just a blue light, and then only thing she knew at the time that whenever you see something you need to ask like, is this your true form? And then after this blue light turned into some form of being, and then she asked again the question, and then this form turned into something else that her brain wouldn't understand. And what she explains is that sometimes even in dreams and like whatever, we see these images. That's not the true form, but that's a symbol that our body, our brain like recognizes as something. If we would see like aliens or whatever, we would be like confused, like what is this? Like our brain doesn't have like understanding what it is, or what am I supposed to do with this information. So I feel like that's why maybe so many people are not even able to have these vivid dreams or visualizations, because we would be so scared of what we see. We are not ready for that. Our brain's not ready.
Exactly. We only see, we only receive what we are ready for, and even then sometimes it seems or feels like too much. I don't want to do it, or am I scared to do that? And you reminded me actually, the first question you asked, how did it come to you, the channeling? And now you talked about your teacher, and it was actually on one of my therapy with my therapist, and she's a channeler. I remember I felt my chakras, like it was so weird feeling in my body, like my body was inside moving something, and then in head I felt like pluk, something like breaking, you know? And here it moved, and I was like, oh my God, should I tell her or not? She will think I'm nuts or something, like maybe I just imagined it. She's a channeler, she already saw what is happening to me, so she was just waiting for me to tell it, you know? I was rewatching the video later, the recording, and I was like, you know, I have a feeling that something happened. She's like, yes, your seventh chakra just opened, you're ready. And then I didn't know what I'm ready for.
Ready for what?
And I was like, okay, cool. And I just slept 3 hours after the session, crying. I don't know why, what happened. And now you reminded me, actually that was the point when something suddenly, or not suddenly, but for me it was the work as well.
Something moved. Yeah.
Something moved. Need to clean the trash a little bit that blocks you from seeing who you are. For me at least it was like this. For some people, maybe there is less trash, but maybe we just don't see how long they were.
But when she explained it, like she has been doing like before that, like this hypnotherapy for so many years, and all of these things like that led to it. It wasn't like that anyways.
Exactly.
It seemed like that, but if you look in retrospective, what she done before, like it's a long way. Yeah, she said she needed to practice this, what you explained, being able to just let your body loose and just be, and allow the information to come. And just
not
like,
judge it.
Yeah.
Not think if it's true or not. Or immediately, for me in the beginning it was like, I had to give it a meaning. Why did it come to me? Why now this word? Like, stop asking questions, just receive. It's like with gifts, you know, just receive and say thank you. And then you will unfold it and you will see. So it's a...
Yeah. And why do you think people would need these sort of like interactions? Because sometimes I feel like we are here on Earth and we need to live Earth life, and we have chosen to come here in this form as a human beings, right? Why do we strive to even like connect to something that we can't see? Like, what's the point? Why can't we just live our life here?
But that's who we are. That's a conversation for a little longer time, but let me think how I will answer this. Yes, as a souls, we came here as in these physical bodies. We chose the body, we chose the family, we chose the country, we chose everything, we chose the things that we have to work on. But it's just a one piece of a long story. because we were evolving for thousands and thousands of years. Back then, into those years when people could telepathically read each other's mind, kind of telepathically communicate, like, today we could understand it. Somebody says you something and you just thought the same thing. We used to know how to do that. We just forgotten who we are, and now all the planets are aligned and everything is happening so that we start to remember again. We think that we as a humanity are developing and becoming more and more smart, and actually we are degrading. We are in the lowest point of evolution currently at this state. So our task now is to awaken again and remember who we are. So that's why now even children who were born now in recent years, they are already different. They already by default have certain skills back. We can, as parents, either put programs and dig them down, or we can help them to develop because they are connected with this true source. Yeah. Recently, I just saw a picture of child and adult. And the child has this flow from the source, you call it as you want, universe, highest self. It's like a light in the size of the child. It's just going. That's why children, they just do. They don't think. They say things that they think. Yeah. On the street, wherever. Mama, why this woman is crying? Or Mama, why this woman is like this and that? And I'm like, oh my God. You know? Yeah. But they are like this. They get information, they say, this is the source. And adult, the picture of adult was, this line was like so thin, but it existed there. It's just either like blurred or blocked somehow, and our task is to clean that dust and start to see that light again. Probably we will not see it in this lifetime as bright and big as a child, but our task is to find that light and that connection, allow this connection to work, to do its job.
Yeah, it's funny how kids are like so honest. Like the other day, my friend told me this story that she was showering with her kid together. And the kid was like, Mom, when are you going to go back to gym? She was like, well, thanks. But they are just honest, as you say. Like they say whatever they feel. And there is no, like, probably they don't say these things to upset you, because there's no such a thing to, like, upset or whatever.
We teach them that this is upsetting, this is that. We are giving the sense of everything.
We give meaning to all of this, because even sadness or heartbreak or, I don't know, failure, those are not bad feelings. They are just feelings, right? Yeah. We make the meaning out of them. But okay, probably so many people have asked you this, like, can you like see the future for me or for society or whatever through channeling? Is it possible to somehow make some sort of predictions or whatever?
Prediction of the future doesn't exist as such, because there are so many possibilities of how we can achieve something. But for example, it's common now to say, like, we can predict how October, November, January, March, June will be for us, or how our year will be. But we have to remember that if I connect with you now at this state, in your energetic state, and you ask me, okay, Kat, tell me how my trip to Thailand or wherever will be. And I will read that information from you from this energetic state. And I will tell you from current state how I see it, let's say in 1 month. But if your state changes, all the probabilities, there are like dozens, thousands of probabilities, can take a different path. So no, I cannot predict the future. I can tell you from current state how I see it in your energy field, but it doesn't mean it will happen that way. It can happen if you keep on the same energy level. But also, why we would even want to know that? There is so many possibilities how we can achieve something. Then we just stick to that one, but universe can prepare something else.
Yeah, I've seen this happening to people so many times. They go to some, like, I don't know, like tarot reader or whatever, and they tell them this one thing and they kind of like
obsessed about it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's something bad and you kind of like program yourself to it and you can't get it, like you can't unhear it, like you already heard it. Like I have this friend and this lady like 10 years ago said to her that she will be pregnant but like really late in her life. And when she heard it, she was like 17. She was like, okay, I'm gonna be pregnant at 30 or something. But now she's 36 and she's like kind of like, okay, when is this gonna happen? Like on my 70s. And she's kind of like programming herself because she cannot let go of that because it's so deep in you, right? This whatever this person is saying.
This is coming back to your question, like, do you really need to tell person what you see? And this is, we as a souls, when we come here into these incarnations, we have a certain, we call them a key point in our life. Key point in our life can be your child is born. Key point in your life can be a marriage or some events that we cannot avoid. So it's a point A to point B to point C, but between those points what happen, it can happen in a million different ways how you get to this point B. So for example, somebody asked me, okay, but tell me what is my next point then in life? And I see something, and then I was like, okay, I can tell her this, so you will meet someone. You will meet someone. I don't know. I don't see if will be your husband. I see a guy. I see your interaction. I see a good energy between you. This is a point. How you will get there? I don't know. You can go by train here, or you can walk this way, or you can fly. Whatever way you choose. Whatever way you choose. But always choose the way that is making your heart sing the most. Then it will be the so-called easy way. Doesn't mean it's always easy, but in any way, you will get to that point, either through suffering or in the flow way. Through suffering, meaning when I reject, when I say, no, I don't want it, like me with channeling, no, it's not for me, whatever. So I paid certain amount of money for a wrong course, which was never returned to me. It was actually the best way I could pay for something, the easiest kind of way. But I could just follow my heart and go to the course in the flow, just because I was guided already to that. And this was one of the main points in my life that was supposed to happen. Is it understandable what I'm... Yeah, so if you want a life prediction, because your brain needs to catch something, and then you say either, oh, those shamans, those channelers, those astrologists are such a bullshitters, nothing happens as they say, or they say, oh my God, they told me, so it happens this way. Because you seek for validation, for approval from someone else, just like me going to shaman, tell me something, just tell me something. But it's already here.
Yeah, but I think that the biggest issue is that people they cannot separate their mind and their heart. And there is this like, which is which, and what am I feeling? What is my brain? How can I like differentiate my intuition apart from my brain, and like what am I feeling?
So many times I meet people who come to me to work to like solve some issues, and when I ask what do you feel in your body, I don't know, nothing. I feel nothing. And there is, I think, in still many people, this disconnection, as you say, between brain and body, because in head I know everything, but I feel for her. I feel because I connect and I feel there is something so heavy, but she needs to let me enter to work on that heaviness. Everything is fine. I just cannot sleep for many years. Like everything is fine and you cannot sleep. It's like paradox that you will not make me believe in these things. So how do we gonna do this? Either we do it or you just go and not sleep again. And then, there's different practices. Today, to say that I don't know how to feel my body, you just find something online, go to a person who can help you to do this. If you want, you can find a way nowadays. If you really want. even through breathing, even through practices, yoga practices, I don't know, whatever calls your attention.
Just sitting in silence, right?
That's the hardest part for people.
Yeah, we are constantly trying to run away from ourselves, right? And
but it's paradox again.
Yeah.
We run to find ourselves in children, in family, in work, in hobbies, in Bali, in somewhere else. But we are always carrying that thing with us, but just looking for it somewhere else.
This was like realization for me 5 years ago. I was also living in London, and I was so annoyed with my life, probably with myself, but I was just so done, and I was like, I just want to go travel around the world, right? And I packed my bag and I left, and I lived for a month in Greece, and I was like, fuck, why do I still feel this way? I'm like, where do I need to go to not feel this feeling? And that was the first time actually when I was like, fuck, I had this realization that I can't run away from myself. Like, there is only way to run away from you, right? Only one way. But do I really want to do that? No. And then that's how I kind of started looking into myself and facing all of that that I didn't like, right?
That, or trying to change people around you. Why my husband cannot be that?
Yeah.
Like, how can I change him? Yeah. By changing yourself. And we hear these things. They are nowadays attacking us from everywhere. But as long as you don't really sit and take it and start to really understand the true meaning, because working with yourself, it means to look the truth in the eye, honesty in the eye. And being honest with yourself, sometimes it's very difficult because your ego will tell you something else. It's just this clear field to open up to yourself.
You probably have so many people who don't understand what you're doing. You come from really religious family, right? Or no?
My grandma was really religious. She was taking me to church everywhere she could take me. Yeah.
So how does your family look at this? Like, have you ever told them what is it that you really do, or you just say coaching, or because that's something people can nowadays understand? Or how do you deal with family members? Because I know that probably there are people who are listening and they are like, I really want to step into my power, do whatever it is. It doesn't have to be this, but whatever. But there will be people in our lives who doesn't understand why do you do this or that. Because I remember for my parents, even me going to art school was something unacceptable, because how can you earn money with art, right? You have to study something else, never mind even channeling or something like this. So how do you deal with other people, especially in the beginning when you're still learning yourself and discovering, is this working or not?
In the beginning, I was telling, I work in hypnosis. I just help. It's like a therapy, Mom. It's just like a therapy. I help people to live better. She still didn't understand what does it mean, but what exactly? You see what we do in these kind of situations? We take a position of a god, because I decide that she doesn't understand what I do. I don't even try to explain, because she's lower than me. She will never understand what this majesty is doing. And only this summer, when I started channeling, and I was like, my mom is seeing me going to work and cacao ceremony, learning cacao ceremony, preparing cacao, and I'm explaining her in a very brief sentences, just for her to understand. And then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm treating my mom as she would not understand. Why? Just because maybe I don't know how to explain? And for many years, really, I didn't know how. Or maybe
you're afraid of her questions, or her, how she would react or something.
All of
because
those things.
I relate to you. Yeah.
And then I was like, I sit down one evening with her on a bench, and I just said from my heart, everything. Like what I'm learning. I don't know what exactly channeling is. I just connect, and I just did this session meeting my guides, and my grandma is my guide, and she came to me in the night, and I asked her a sign. Grandma, show me if you're really here, because my grandparents are already not alive anymore. And my parents live in their house now, in my grandmother's house. And one night I was lying in a bed, and there's just my daughter. My husband is in Prague. My parents are in different room. It's night, dark night. And I'm feeling somewhere you feel the density in the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, who is here? I'm like shaking, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And I feel it's my grandmother. And in our culture, if a dead person comes to you, it means they are taking you, like stereotype, whatever stories. And I know that she's not here to take me, like I'm not ready to die. I still have a lot of things to do. And I'm like, okay, grandmother, show me a sign that you are here. And I was sleeping with my hands like this. And I just feel like energy or something, call it whatever, I just feel that something is touching my palms. I'm like, holy fuck, what was that? Like, really? And I'm like really afraid now. And it's like, so if it's really you, do it again. And it happens again. And I'm like, okay, so what are you here to tell me? Or why are you here? And I don't know, I don't remember if there was a message or answer. I just turned and fell asleep. And next day, or 2 days later, we were doing a session channeling who are my guides. And my grandmother came as my guide for my ancestor lineage. So to help me to work on the ancestor lineage. And then I receive clients who come and we work on their ancestor lineage, like all these things happen. Mm-hmm. And I told her this story, and she's like, oh my God, grandmother came to you, how is she? What did she tell you? I'm like, Mom, everything is fine. It's not like, she came for me or something, because that was her immediate perception. She started to be afraid of me. So I was really trying to, in a simple manner, to explain her what I do. And you know what I realized? She understood and she accepted, because 2 weeks earlier, she was telling me, maybe you should find a serious job, because you're doing this woo-woo whatever, and it's like bullshit or something. She didn't say it in this way, but I could sense, or I took it this way, because it was for me the message. And after that, I felt full acceptance, because she finally, maybe she doesn't understand fully, but she felt that I am ready to share with her. And after one event, a couple of months ago, I called my parents, and I told him I was on this event, and I did this thing. And my mom was like, wow, they invited you. You must be really good at what you do. And for the first time, I remember that feeling that, I called my mom not to show her how cool I am, not to prove her that I'm a good girl, I'm doing a good job, Mom, look, my work works, but I called just to share, like with a friend, like with a parent. Mom, it was so good event. And then she's like, you must be very good. I was like, I don't know, maybe if they call me, maybe I'm good. This was like, I put the phone and I was like, wow, that was a very cool conversation. I didn't want to prove her something. I didn't want just to tell her that, my thing really works. I just had a conversation, which could not happen if in the summer I would not have that conversation with her, because then again I would try to prove her that this my technique is working. You see, people are calling me to events and asking me to do stuff. And this ego part was gone. To prove her something that I'm good enough, what I do is good enough, and you can love me now like this. I didn't give a fuck what she will feel. I mean, very harsh maybe, but I didn't care what she will tell me, will accept or not. I just shared. I did event, there were this amount of people. It was cool. And she was like, wow, they called you, you must be good. I was like, probably, I don't know. If they called me, maybe I'm good, and that's it. Yeah. They might surprise you when you tell them, when you open to them.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I was so scared of whatever, even telling about cacao and stuff, because like, what would they think and all of these things. But yeah, when I started just being me and just letting them see whatever it is, right? It's the same story with me, like everyone, you realize that that story was in your head. You thought they won't understand. You thought they are gonna judge you. You thought all of these things, but actually, like, as you say, they are human beings and they understand, like, if you allow them to.
Maybe the question, if somebody is watching this is one thing you can take, and if you are afraid or shy or not sure if you to tell somebody, think about what role are you taking, like why you think that person will not understand, why you think you are superior than that person. You understand, you do this thing, but why do you think your mother or father will not understand? Maybe because you don't know how to explain so that they understand. Or maybe you are afraid of judgment.
Or maybe you are not confident enough in yourself, because I needed to achieve some sort of security within myself to be able to actually face them and have a conversation about it, to kind of prove whatever, because I was like scared that they are gonna ask me some questions and then I'm gonna be like, I don't know, like, how do you explain this? But then once you kind of go through these things, you learn that's your experience. You cannot, like, for example, like if you walk down the road and you see blue elephant on the street in the middle of like this city, and you are telling that to somebody, you are in full confidence that you saw it because that was your experience, right? But if I would try to explain your story as mine, like, oh, she told me that blue elephants exist, obviously I wouldn't be confident because I didn't see it, I don't know what the situation was and stuff. So you kind of need to go through this process to experience things, to kind of believe it yourself, and then you're like, okay, that's my life. Like, why would I lie, or why would I try to hide anything?
And you don't have to explain anything to anyone.
Yeah.
In fact, if you feel you have to explain something, again, why do you feel this need of explaining yourself to someone? Because you are unsure of something, or why? If you feel, life should be so easy. I just do what I feel I want to do, not because something is expected from me. My parents are expecting from me. They're expecting something from us.
Yeah.
If I would live the life my parents expected me to live, I would be working in a criminal department of Latvian police.
Yeah.
As a lawyer, preferably. Yeah. Earning big money, being very important.
Yeah, because you know what I understood, that I guess all of the parents, only thing they want is you being able to take care of yourself. And first of all, when you start doing these things, obviously the first question in their mind is like, how is she going to make a living out of it? Is she going to be able to take care of herself? Blah, 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 blah. What other people will think. But then when you keep going, when they see that you can make life out of this, you can take care of yourself, they're like, okay, I guess it works, like whatever. And then they start kind of supporting you because, oh, well done, she's so brave, she can, like, it's so funny to be honest, but yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. And I think like kind of that is our we cannot be ourselves. We cannot not be ourselves.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah, we cannot not to be ourselves, because that's our mission, to be ourselves, like the true form. Because if we are not, then we are living a lie, and you are blocking other people from experiencing their life. Because maybe I need to deliver some message to you or introduce you to some people, but if I'm living this fake life, trying to prove something to someone, trying to live what my parents want me to do, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but
it's very difficult life.
Yeah, and you stop other people from experiencing, because we are all kind of in this network, right? And we are like puzzle pieces, and that's why I believe like we need to do whatever it is, as weird as it sounds, as weird as it feels. We just need to do it, whatever is in there.
And very often we don't do it because Yeah, many different things. Just this image came to me, and I will share it. Maybe it will make sense to the listeners. And there was a research done with rats. They put rats in the cage, but they left the door open in the cage. When the rat tried to leave the cage through the door, they were giving it electric shocks. So the rat goes back, but doesn't go out. Rat goes out, electric shock, it returns, and so on. It repeats for a certain amount of time. Then rats give a birth, and there's a little rats now with them. They take off the electric shock, so now the gates is open, they can leave. But the rats, through the body of their parents, have learned this information that the leaving that door is dangerous. They will receive electric shock. There is no electric shock whatsoever any longer. But the rats don't leave the cage anymore. And many things, many traumas, many experiences, we call them programs, whatever, we inherit. Yeah. We bring from our ancestors, we bring even from our previous lives. And the door now is open. You can go and do whatever you want. You look at the door and you don't know why you are scared, what is there, but you just don't go out there. And this example was for me so eye-opening that, like, why so many people are afraid of doing something. And we know already now, all information is available, that we store a lot of things in our body, not in our brain. Our brain gets information from current life, what we learn, what we experience, but everything else is held in our body. So we are this triangle, the trinity, brain, body, and the spirit. And if we only work with the brain, the other two, actually biggest part of you, are left alone, like left behind. So we have to work on all three of them and get rid of those things, also of perceptions of our parents are putting on us, consciously or subconsciously, with any bad. No parent wants something bad for their children, ever, I think. I believe in that. But somehow we still feel that we have some pulling back. And we guilt them for that, like, it's my mom, it's my parents, it's them. No, you are adult now. You just now can take a decision and do something different. Not gonna be easy, but you can do it.
Yeah, I think this was such a good example to end our conversation. There is so much to think about it. I think you shared so many interesting facts and experiences whatsoever. Yeah, I feel like people should listen to this many times to kind of digest all the information and kind of reflect on their lives, where they are stopping themselves from, letting themselves out of that cage, right? Where there is nothing to be afraid of and nothing to,
to accept this, to see it. Yes, I'm afraid. And it's like, oh my God, I'm afraid. And then we just hide it. But I'm afraid. I accept my fear. I accept that I might fall down and people will laugh on me. I accept it. Because when we accept, only then we can change. Only when we accept something that is so unacceptable, so painful, only then we can change it. So first is to look at it, see, okay, I see you, my fear. I hear you, I feel you. As hard as it can, I accept you, but it has to come from the heart. It's not just from here and the words, because then it doesn't really work the magic. I accept you. Yes, I am also an angry person. Yes, I can also raise my voice onto my child. It's me. I accept it, but I want to be that person, and I work towards that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
And it's always learning process.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time and putting your flight one day later.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. See you next time.